Hey everyone, so most Amazon sellers spend a lot of time learning what buttons to click inside the PPC dashboards, but very few actually spend time understanding who they're actually selling to. So that's the real problem because Amazon ads don't actually fail due to bad settings. They fail because sellers misunderstand buyer behavior. So in this video, we're going to talk exactly about how Amazon shoppers actually think, how their behavior changes throughout the buying journey, and why understanding the psychology is the fastest way to scale ads without blowing up your budget. And by the end, you'll see why automation isn't just the main thing. It's a natural response to how buyers just behave today. So let's first start with a mental reset. Amazon buyers are not browsing for inspiration like the way they do on Instagram, right? They're not patient and they're not loyal by default, like social media. So most Amazon shoppers, they just arrive with intent. Sometimes that intent is sharp. I need this product now. Or sometimes it's more like fuzzy. I know what problem I have, but I'm deciding which options make the most sense. What rarely happens is slow, thoughtful comparison across dozens of listings. Amazon buyers scan, they skim, and then they shortcut decisions. That means your ads aren't convincing them from zero. They're nudging a decision that's already in motion. So the first psychology filter, which is relevance. The very first thing Amazon shopper asks subconsciously is very simple. Is this for me? That judgment happens in 1 second. Your keyword choice, the headline, the image, and the price all combine answers that question literally instantly. So if your ad is even slightly off intent, the shopper doesn't analyze it. They just completely ignore it. It doesn't even come across their view. So this is why broad traffic completely kills performance. Not because broad keywords are evil, but because relevance decay happens quickly. And here's the most important part. Relevance isn't static. The same keyword can be relevant on Monday and wasteful by Friday because buyer expectations, they just change. Competitors adjusting pricing or even seasonal demand, it shifts. So humans completely struggle to track relevance in real time. So buyer behavior really does not wait. The second filter is risk reduction. Once a shopper decides that this might be for me, their brand shifts completely into risk mode. They ask, is this safe? Will this work? Will I regret this? And this is where reviews, price anchors, prime eligibility, and brand familiarity quietly influences conversions. So from an ads perspective, this explains something critical. Clicks doesn't mean confidence. A spike in CTR doesn't always mean success. Sometimes it means curiosity without commitment. And this is where many sellers overspend because they just chase clicks instead of measuring the buyer's certainty. So conversion rate is the real signal of psychological comfort. And conversion rates fluctuate far more often than sellers actually expect. So this is exactly how buyer psychologically changes during the high traffic periods. This becomes even more intense during seasonal spikes, promotions, and peak hours. When traffic surges, buyers compare things faster, they're less patient, and they tolerate fewer mismatches. At the same time, competition increases, which also changes buyer expectations around price and presentation. So while sellers assume more traffic equals more profit, what actually happens is more traffic equals faster behavioral shifts. So a keyword that worked yesterday can silently flip from profitable to dangerous because buyer psychology changed, not because your product got any worse, right? So this is exactly why manual optimization fails at a completely psychological level. This is the gap between sellers and shoppers that really shows. Like buyers adapt instantly and sellers adapt periodically. So manual optimization looks at what already happened. Yesterday's conversions, last week's ACoS, historical CPCs, but buyer psychology operates in the present. So when you manually lower a bid after noticing poor performance, the damage is already done. When you manually raise a bid after conversions improved, you may be already late. So the issue is not intelligence, it's the reaction lag. And psychology is extremely time sensitive. So scaling ads is really about just matching behavior speed. Here's the core insight most sellers miss. Scaling ads is not about pushing more budget. It's literally just about the speed of the buyer's behavior. So when buyer intent straightens, automation leans in. So there's no hesitation, no emotional detachment, or no delay. So this is especially powerful because buyers don't change their behavior once a day. It literally changes constantly. So automation adapts at the same exact speed buyers do. So this is exactly why AiHello fits this model just naturally. And this is the exactly the environment AiHello is designed for. Like, not to predict psychology, but to respond to it a lot faster than humans can. That's even like possible, right? Like when buyers hesitant, bids adjust. When traffic quality dips, waste is trimmed automatically. When performance strains, campaigns scale without waiting for manual approval. So budgets pace themselves based on real demand. Keywords live or die based on behavior, not assumptions. Placements are adjusted based on actual buying signals. So instead of reacting to reports, you're running a system that reacts to people and automatically. So you literally don't have to be guessing or doing anything. Everything is done logically and automatically, even when you're sleeping. So the fastest growing Amazon sellers aren't better at PPC tools. They're just better at understanding buyers. They know shoppers decide quickly. They know behavior changes constantly, and they build systems that keep that up. So automation isn't just about removing humans from the process. It's about removing the delay. When your ads move at the same speed as buyer psychology, scaling stops feeling risky and it starts feeling controlled. And that's exactly why the environment where growth becomes sustainable. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.